Hi, Bill Doherty, co-founder of the Doherty Relationship Institute. And I want to share in this video one of my favorite diagnostic or assessment tools that I don't think is used enough in the field. And that is really mapping out the interactional sequences, what people actually do on the ground, having them report this as if they brought in a video, okay? And so I'll come back to what I do in a minute, but I want to set this up by saying that I think that there's some approaches to couples therapy that pretty much ignore the bad stuff that's going on in their interactions because you just want to get to the feelings, okay? So if I feel abandoned, then the specifics of that are not that important, just I go for the feelings. There's obviously important advantages to getting the feelings, but I'm saying something's missing. The other is that they come in and they process their argument of the week at a fairly high level, okay? This bothers me when she does that and he does this, and no, you didn't say that, and your mother did this, and the therapist is sort of like a mediator without really getting on the ground, how are they harming each other? Because in a marriage, the issues people have always play out in specific interactional scenes. Okay, so it's like a play. There are scenes, and you're not just sort of getting an overview of the plot. And you can be trapped if people are just willing to tell you what they think and feel about their problem. That's important. I start there, okay? But then at some point, I want to get an example, maybe how this came up recently, and then how they actually engaged each other. And so there's a whole lot in the Doherty approach of the craft skills for doing this, but I'll give you just a sampler here. I'll say, so I'd like to know, okay, that last time you talked about this issue of how somebody handles money, for example. So how did it start? So imagine that I was there or that you brought in a video camera. What's the context? And then who started? So you start. So what do you recall saying? Recall saying this. Is that what your recollection is? Back and forth, back and forth, back. I don't let somebody go on and on and on about the whole thing. I want to how did it start? What do they remember about this? A lot of times they can sort of get a little bit close to who started and what they said. And I'm very interested in the very specifics. And then, okay, and then your response to that. And what was going on for you in that response? Is that what you recall? Your spouse responded, okay. Now, it was back to you. What was the third one? And I'm doing a micro-analysis here to the best of their recollection of the actual scene and how it played out, because there is so much learning in that. There's so much learning in that. And a lot of times I tell people that what people recall about an argument and then they bring into therapy is the stuff they said a half an hour later. When everybody's hurt and mad and blah, blah, and we process that later. And I tell people the path through is often around the first three steps. Like tennis, the service. How was the service? What was the context of the service? Well, other people around. Oh my goodness. So then, you handed a hot potato to somebody with other people. What's the response? Okay. And then positive or negative or neutral. And then if the service isn't so good, you can recover with the response. But if the response isn't good, now we have one more step. How you volley back after you got that hot potato back to you. And we could do some more with it, but I'm particularly interested in the first three steps because that's often the clue to people once they figured out what the issue means for them emotionally and all that other stuff, how they actually translate into changing how they interact with each other. That's what the marital relationship is about, is a series of interactions. It's not just a series of feelings, it's not just a series of issues, it's how we interact with each other. So in the Doherty approach, help you really get the scene, get the interactions, and it really it can provide a kind of a breakthrough for people who are caught just in the feelings about it or are caught in the how can we ever resolve this issue at this larger level. The scene, it's in the scene.